Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm finally showing you an updated look at my kitchen. I've done a few things since the last time I shared my kitchen, which I think was about 2 years ago. So I had this here last time, but it's just a bulletin board with some random things on it, some pictures of my mom and my grandma. That was a picture of me when I was little baking with my grandma. I did get a new clock since last video. The one that I had broke, so that one I think was $6 from a thrift store. I'm pretty sure that I've changed all of the things up here, although the Spice of Life I think was there in the last video, but this is my collection of Spice of Life. I also have the PYREX cracker and cookie jars up there. And I think I just had things maybe configured a little bit differently, but I've got those avocado green canisters that I love so much. And then over on this side, I know this side is definitely the most different, so I like this way better than how I had it before. It took me a long time to figure it out, so I ended up using some of my vintage cookbooks to kind of raise the dishes up some, so it just filled out the space a little better, and I definitely like the way that that looks way more than it looked before. I don't even remember how this looked in my last video, but I recently got an espresso machine and I wanted to put it over here and just have this little area over here that I think maybe I might have had my cookbooks here before, I can't remember. So usually I kind of decorate this for the holidays, so it's kind of plain right now, but I do just have some vintage mugs here and the vintage cake stand with a vintage plate inside. But the biggest change was I painted the cupboards. Well, just the cupboard doors. I painted this avocado green color and I'm kind of obsessed with it. I was kind of frightened to do it. I also got these curtains from eBay. So if you remember in my last video, I had just new curtains because the curtains would not fit these windows. If you go back and watch my old apartment kitchen tour, you'll remember these curtains. So I periodically look on eBay for curtains, and I noticed that those ones were an exact match and that they would fit the window. So I got really excited. We bought them, and then I knew that I could just turn one of the sets that I already had into like a cafe style curtains over the window there. So very excited I did that. I feel like it just really makes it look that much more vintage. So I was definitely missing them after moving here. So I think in my last video I mentioned about getting more of these little tiny shelves. They're the perfect size for salt and pepper shakers, but I did not get more yet. But when I was filming this video, I was thinking, oh, I should have got more. So this is another huge addition, is this shelf that I found back in the summer. I've been wanting to add more orange into the kitchen, and I was in this random store and saw this shelf. It's perfect, I think, with the chrome and the lacquered orange. I'm just completely obsessed with it. We drove all over the province looking for more of them. This is actually like 1.5 shelves. I think it only had 4, so I added 2 more just to kind of fill it out. And I've put all of my mushroom things on here and some of my cookbooks as well. I really love the way that it looks. I feel like I kind of want to collect more mushroom stuff and then maybe just have it all be mushroom, but I do have some vintage Tupperware down on the bottom that I didn't have the last time I filmed in here, but I just love the way it looks. And so here's kind of a wider shot of the kitchen where you can see the cupboard doors are painted. So I got inspo to do this by looking at pictures of vintage kitchens on Pinterest mostly, and I kept seeing this style pop up where it was the painted doors. I seen a bunch in green and a bunch in orange, and then I just thought I would give you an update on the contact paper I used to cover the counters. It's been 2.5 years. It's still holding up great. There are a couple little spots where maybe something scratched it a little, but overall for the cost of it and it lasting 2.5 years, I think it's pretty good. Here's my vintage coffee maker. I did film and post a few weeks ago a complete look at all of my vintage appliances if you want a more detailed look at those things. This little coffee area is definitely one of my favorite areas. I love these mugs I bought quite a few years ago now, but between the mugs and the canisters and the vintage wallpaper, it's a complete vibe that I'm living for. So this is the wallpaper that I bought that was still new in the package from the late 60s, and I saved it for years until we moved into this house. And I'm so glad that I didn't get tempted to use it in one of the apartments we lived in, because then I wouldn't have it now. And I just feel like it fits so perfectly. The crock pot is not vintage, but it definitely fits in. And this thing I'm using for the utensils was just a candle holder that I found in a thrift store a long time ago. The stove is not my favorite. I'm hoping to someday get vintage inspired appliances. But I do have my PYREX coffee and tea maker there. I have this owl above the stove along with these salt and pepper shakers. Next to the stove, I have my Spice of Life wooden spice holder, which I love so much. I just keep all my most used spices over here right next to the stove, and I love that. I found this, I think, for $2 or $3 in a thrift store. And then another vintage appliance. I've got my avocado Sunbeam Mixmaster, which I love so much. And then over here I have my tin foil wax paper towel holder. This is so convenient. Like, I love the look of it because it's vintage, obviously, but it's actually just so convenient because I usually cook and prep food on this counter. So then I've got the Betty Crocker toaster oven. I'm still not sure how old it is, but I love it. And Spice of Life canisters from PYREX. My recipe holder, I did get this more modern blender, and I use it every day almost, so I really wanted to keep it out on the counter, but you kind of can't really see it because it's kind of tucked up against the corner there, so it doesn't ruin the vibe too much. But I do use it all the time, so it would be a big hassle to have to put it away every single day. But I just love the look of the kitchen. I feel like it completely changed the vibe by painting the doors, and I'll leave all my past tours linked below if you want to go back and look. But I also have this cabinet. I think it's supposed to be a microwave stand, but I don't have a microwave in the kitchen. But I do use it for a lot of kind of baking things. So up there I have more vintage mixers. Like I said, they're all like in more detail in that other video, which I'll also link that. And then I do have vintage aprons up on the wall next to it, which used to be where the orange shelf is now. I'm not in love with that because the water cooler is kind of blocking them, but up there I just have a couple salt and pepper shakers. And then I mostly use this cabinet for the bottom is baking supplies, and then in here just some random vintage pieces, and a lot of cookbooks are on the stand. I don't think this sugar dish is vintage, but I do think it looks really cute. So, and then I have some PYREX things. This red one actually belonged to my grandma. I just keep bread tags in there because the bread companies here are now just using cardboard bread tags, which is fine, but I like to reuse my bread tags, so I've just been hoarding them for a while. Then I've got some vintage Betty Crocker birthday candles from the 70s, which I cherish so much. I've got my PYREX primaries, one of which was my grandma's, one was my mom's, and then the other two I just found. And the strawberry one, which I'm not sure who made it, there's no mark on it. And I've got my Fire King tulips here. The big one actually cracked into like a million pieces, but I glued it all back together because I just felt like, well, I don't want to throw it away. And here you can see a bunch of my Better Homes and Gardens cookbooks. I also have the Betty Crocker recipe box there, which I love. I just have some random like coil cookbooks on top of that, and then I have modern cookbooks here. And then John found me the entire set of the Better Homes and Gardens Encyclopedia of Cooking, which I think are really cool. they were only, I think, like $8, I think he said. So anyway, here's kind of just a complete overview from when you walk into the kitchen. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I was really nervous to paint the cupboards because I didn't know if I would like it or not. But I figured the worst thing that could happen is I don't like them and I'll just paint them back to white. But I was really not feeling the whole white thing. I would actually prefer to just have wood cabinets, but they were already painted white when we bought the house, so I just painted them white again to refresh them. But I'm so happy that I took the chance to paint them green because I ended up loving it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again soon.